welcome back to week 10 of the Hearthstone Global Games, where we've just had a very quick series. That was one of the blink and you'll miss it series there between Taiwan and Turkey, where Taiwan was able to take it and get through to the next stage of the competition.
Right. Yeah, and that's all there is to say about that. Bosh, 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 as I said before, all the way through. Now we're going to have a bit more of an interesting one coming up now, though. Most likely, New Zealand and Russia have been known to take their time and play very patiently in all of their matches.
Now we're going to have a look at the group now and try and explain where this gets complicated. So Austria are through to the next phase of the competition, guaranteed.
Right.
Argentina need Russia to lose 3-0, and then they're through to the next phase.
Or New Zealand to lose at all.
Oh, right.
If New Zealand just get beat, then they're through as well. So if New Zealand lose 3-1 or 3-2, then they both go through. So if they win 3-1 or 3-2, they both go through.
And yeah, if Russia wins, New Zealand is out. So it's quite messy to explain, but I think it's simpler than it looks.
Yeah, so if Russia win the group, Austria and Argentina go through. That's the bit to bear in mind. If New Zealand win, Argentina are out unless it's 3-0.
Yeah.
That's still messy.
So
we'll explain it as it goes.
As far as from Russia's point of view, they need to win a single game.
Right.
One game in the series, and then they're through to the next phase of the competition. This is because of tiebreakers and everything getting a little bit confusing and a little bit mixed up. But yeah, let's take a look at the players that are going to be representing New Zealand and Russia today. Pathra, Ting Tong, Slayer Max, and Flame Lord from New Zealand. Pavel, Stanadachi, Silvername, and Aina from Russia.
And I'm not going to let you off, Ting Tong. I'm sorry, mate. I played Ting Tong on ladder the other day.
Oh.
And added him after, so it was him. And he was playing Quest Hunter.
Oh. Let's see some Quest Hunter coming up today then.
I suspect we won't. He was quite embarrassed about it. He was obviously busy having a bit of a meme to himself, trying to make some new stuff happen.
Hoping not to cue into anyone that he has...
that was going to reveal it to the world.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Poor guy. I'm also going to just do what Sotul does. Russia is Sotul's team. He has a vested interest in seeing them at least win one game today. He likes to call them the team of champions. And when you look at Pavel, world champion last year, Stanadachi, winter champion this year, you can see why he calls them a team of champions.
Only Sotul would have the powers to bring such a team down. Wouldn't it be a shame if Sotul was the only person not to pick a team to go through?
Oh, that would be a shame, wouldn't it? Well, I think I've just picked a side for this.
I'm looking forward to seeing this one either way. Just to mention that Argentina as well, obviously vested interest. I'd love to see them go through, but we're not biased here. We are going to call it how we see it, and it's going to be exciting either way.
Yep, once again, this is the Hearthstone Global Games format. I feel like as though I only explained this half an hour or 40 minutes ago, but I will go through it one more time. It's a best out of 5, where each player has 2 decks, except for the ace player who has 3. The ace player will be playing game number 5 if we go into game number 5 in the best out of 5 series. They're playing in a predetermined order, and they've distributed the classes in advance, but now it's a blind pick. So first game will be Slayer Max with the Warlock and Paladin versus Stanadachi with the Mage and Priest. Both players have that information, and they then need to decide which one they're going to bring. And I'm not expecting to see Warlock.
Yeah, it's a series of mini mind games. The only reason you bring Warlock here is if you've got something very clever prepared. But as it's with the Paladin, the intention is to dump it, but the Warlock will have been teched to build probably one exact deck. Yep. And if they get the chance to take that on, then they might just do the switcheroo.
And for example, if it's Priest, I definitely don't think... Sorry, if it's Zoo, not if it's Priest. If it's Zoo, I don't think you want to queue it up against a Mage or a Priest.
I agree entirely.
So... Oh, what a surprise it's going to be the Paladin versus Priest on Stanadachi's side. Now, Priest is a class which has had some development recently. I believe there was one Priest in Star Ladder last weekend, and it was Naaman with his Dragon Priest.
Right.
Personally playing the ladder, I've not seen a single Silence Priest this week. It's all been the slower control Mr. Yagut Miracle Priest or Dragon Priest.
Yeah, in this tournament we've seen quite a lot of Silence Priest. And Stanadachi does like to mess around though, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he is playing the slower Medivh Priest that we've been seeing on ladder. I don't think, especially in a match where they need to win one game, I think Stan might want to just show a bit of flair here and bring something a bit unusual.
Sure. Well, I'm excited to see it. Both players playing on their own today. We've seen a little bit. I think we've seen Pavel and Standard actually playing together once before. So sometimes Team Russia do gather together and play, but even when the guys aren't together, they'll be communicating via headsets, etc. This is a team tournament. The team aspect and the communication is actually a very important part of this tournament. We've seen some teams flourish and fail just based off of the back of that.
Yeah, and I think we've seen Russia in general communicating very well. They've taken a lot of slower decks as well. Even the sort of medium, even the mid-range decks, they've played them very slowly, very carefully, made sure they get the exact, as much as possible value out of everything. We've seen them just not kill people when they could set up lethal the next turn. We've not seen them not kill them, but we've seen them not set up lethal just because they know they can't lose the game if they play a more grindy route.
Okay, well, as that happens, it is actually going to be the Silence Priest after all versus Outdoor Peacekeeper and Blessing of Kings in Slaymax's hand. Now, you were talking about Blessing of Kings earlier. You were saying that Blessing of Kings has been less common recently. Now, I wouldn't necessarily expect it in a deck with Outdoor Peacekeeper.
Right, if you're going to play Blessing of Kings, you tend to play it in the more aggressive versions. Put a load of things out there, so there's something to put it on turn 4. But Outdoor Peacekeeper, when you look at it the other way, quite often is good at looking after itself. It doesn't get killed by the things on the board very easily.
Yeah.
So it can survive into a Blessing of Kings, but yeah, Slaymax throwing it all away and looking for a new hand of faster cards.
One thing I am curious about, every time I see a Paladin, and we haven't seen it pop up just yet, but I'm always curious as to whether or not we'll see an Onyxia sneak up.
Onyxia?
Onyxia, I believe Zalay was playing Onyxia in Starladder last weekend in his mid-range Paladin deck, I believe. So you can draw it from the Curator. It's just an extra dragon for that. It's just a big board. It sets up Tareem. So there is some logic there. That was a good sound.
Yeah.
That was a good sound.
That was the sound of me choking.
Okay.
But that's probably why you enjoyed it so much. Loads going on here for Standudachi. He does have the available silence, but I think we'll see him just pass turn here and keep this coin until he knows exactly what he wants to do with the mana. It is, of course, though, fantastic to get the Ancient Watcher on board so early against Paladin, because you just start munching up the minions as they get played, so maybe he coins out the Watcher.
Yep, it really does begin the mind games, doesn't it? Like, oh, are you going to waste your resources and trade into this? I might not have a silence in my hand, but maybe I have lethal.
Yeah, I think he does actually play the Watcher here, because then turn 2 you can play the Radiant Elemental, plus maybe whatever you've drawn, if you draw a shield, something like that.
Yep.
And having the silence in hand is very convenient.
All right, going to go straight ahead and do that. Standudachi, not one to mess around. Slayer Max's hand not looking too hot right now. Tareem not going to do anything this turn. Rockpool Hunter is fine, but you don't get the buff on it, and hero powering feels awful, so just a lot of bad options for him here.
Yeah, I mean, Rockpool Hunter probably doesn't feel that bad. It's just a 2-3 for 2. It's not too bad unless your opponent has the silence, but you know, the priest has enough silences, you're always fearing that they're going to have it.
I've got to tell you, I don't know that much about Slaymax, but in my sneaking around browsing the internet, seeing what I could find, I did find a N'Zoth Elise hybrid warrior deck that he made in the previous expansion.
N'Zoth Elise hybrid warrior.
I think it was founded on one of the deck creation websites that you see online. So he's a bit of a deck connoisseur.
He's been playing since the end of closed beta, that's much I can tell you.
Yeah.
So he's been around a long time. And that means a lot in Hearthstone.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, Pyromancer here, so now it's just about how Russia want to use all these resources. We won't see the Divine Spirit, of course, for a long time yet because of the threat of equality, just wiping it out. And they're actually just happy to leave a 1-1 sat there.
Yep, as I said before, it was just a lot of bad options for Slaymax. They decided to go with the hero power. I think he had to. Stonehill Defender's looking a little bit better, but these aren't the best choices. That being said, any taunt is good against Silence Priest. Until it gets silenced. Until
it gets silenced, which is why Stan will have held on to it. Again, Russia just very careful with all their resources. I don't think we'll see the Bob Creeper get taken here. It seems to be too late game, but they'll be planning out their next few turns and seeing if there is anything to play before you even get there, because if there's not, you might as well take the Bog Creeper.
And Infested Taurian just feels too bad. you don't have an Azoth in your deck, it just doesn't feel like it does anything here. I guess it survives a hit, but then so does Wicker Flame.
Yeah, Wicker Flame might be the choice here. Again, it's just sees how they pan out the next few turns. Maybe they are actually just going to be playing so much stuff for the next few turns. They want the Bog Creeper. Wicker Flame a little bit better with Blessing of Kings, as is the Tauren, actually. So they're just going to end up going with the cheapest thing, which sometimes is the right thing to do in a matchup where you're struggling to get this board sorted early.
That's true. I hadn't thought of the Blessing of Kings synergy, and you're right. Wicker Flame is the best synergy there. On the other side, Shanadachi is able to just keep piling on the pressure. He can drop Humongous Razor Leaf here, or or Ancient Watcher. The problem is he might not want to go too wide.
Yeah, I mean, again, the play that clears stuff up automatically is just to silence the Watcher, clear the board, heal back up.
I like that, I think. I don't know about the healing back up part.
Well, I don't think you want to put the Razor Leaf and the Watcher down at the same time, just because of Equality Consecration later. But you might, because that's a little way off yet.
Another option would be to play the second Ancient Watcher. You're putting more stuff down on the board, but not using up your biggest minion.
I guess because you've got the other Ancient Watcher, maybe you do just play the Razor Leaf and clear. And then you've still got to reload later. So this is the bit that makes the most sense anyway. It's just a case of whether you heal or whether you play one of the other minions down.
Okay, sure. Gonna just heal, gonna take advantage of the resources bit by bit, as you said initially. Now, let's see, Slayer Max's hand has gone black and white.
That's probably how he feels about it right now. Of course, now that the Watcher is silenced, just the Divine Spirit stuff is such a massive threat from, 420 minion at any point could just turn into a 20-20.
I think that this curve seems okay, though. Like, he can play the Hydrologist and the Rockpool Hunter. It seems reasonable. It just... When priests get board control like this, because of their hero power, like that Radiant Elemental can just keep trading and healing back up. The Ancient Watcher can do the same thing. It becomes a very frustrating class to try and keep up with.
Right, I mean, if they don't get equality, the only out then is Sunkeeper Tarim. They're the only real two ways to deal with this when he gets rolling. And all the time from about now onwards is going to be the threat of just losing the game. Because double Divine Spirit in a fire can soon be fetched and sorted out with Shadow Vision so easily.
Okay, Rockpool Hunter gonna do its work, but oh man, Shanadachi's board just going to get bigger and bigger. Maybe you don't want to waste the Humongous Razor Leaf, but I think you're perfectly fine using the Cabal Talon Priest to buff up one of these minions. Probably the Ancient Watcher just to keep it making these efficient trades.
Yep, that would be the first thing that catches his eye. The only problem is then he doesn't clear all the minions up. One of the things that is obviously fantastic about this deck isn't just the combo kill, it's the fact you've got a 4-5 inactive from turn 2 onwards, basically, which means you can just put a lot of time into destroying stuff. But yeah, he's willing to give up his Radiant Elemental here.
Speaking of the win condition, though, Ancient Watcher was a 4-8 minion there. Divine Spirit is sitting in Shanadachi's hand. He had the ability, if he wanted to make it a 4-16 minion. Obviously, against Paladin, that's a bit of a waste, because something like Equality or Tarim will come out and completely ruin your plan. But what I'm saying is that if there was an Inner Fire as well, then Shanadachi's getting very close to just outright almost winning the game. Yeah,
one of the often overlooked points about this deck is there's a lot of key numbers. It's not like one key number like 14 in old school Druid or whatever.
Yeah.
But though the additional damage makes a big difference. If you get down to 20, that's one of the massive numbers, because your 4-5s can be 20-20s very easily. 16 is another one because of just one Razor Leaf buff. And so all these hitting your opponent for 4s and 2s is actually very relevant a lot of the time.
Now, Slayer Max is going to have to make his decision soon. Is he going to buff up this minion? Is he going to play Gentle Megasaur? Going to go with the buff, I guess, to get rid of the Ancient Watcher once and for all. And it's sort of like you got a 2-for-1, maybe not 2-for-1, but you got rid of the Ancient Watcher, you got rid of the Silence as well from earlier.
Whoops.
There's another one.
Choosing not to play his getaway coder there, so not valuing this Rockpool Hunter at all. No surprise, just observing that's the thing that he did.
Stan Adachi now. So does he just plonk the second Humongous Razor Leaf down? It feels like a waste to me, but that may be because I can see Sunkeeper Tareem in Slayer Max's hand.
So the difficult here, yeah, is what do you do about this silence? What do you do about your Pyromancer? When do you want to use these? And I'm assuming the 3-4 will just trade in, and he'll hit for 2 with the Elemental, probably heal it up to get it out of Consecration range, as it's so massive. If you can hold on to these little spells in his hand, hold on to them, pick up Lyra, win game.
Just an extra win condition, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lyra is, in any priest deck, just an extra way of winning the game. I think it doesn't even matter what the matchup is, but occasionally a Lyra will stick to the board, and the priest will just win off the back of that.
Lyra also a very skillful card to play. I mean, apart from all the random elements, you have to be able to assess those random elements very quickly. Not so much like Auctioneer turns in Rogue, which can be learned to some degree, how to respond to each pickup. With Lyra, there's too much going on. You have to just use your wits as you go.
Which actually makes it incredibly hard to play in the Hearthstone Global games because the teams typically play very slowly. I think Stanodachi is quite a slow player anyway.
Yeah. He can be quick.
Okay, I'm getting mixed up. But the point is, in the global games, he's playing very, very slow. Because of the team communication. And Lyra just puts an extra spanner in the works there.
Yeah, I think the first thing you say when you pick up Lyra and intend to play her is, everybody shut up unless you've got a massive point to make.
Right.
And just let him do it on his own.
Sometimes the best teamwork is just, being quiet. As we've heard a lot of the players say.
Yeah. A lot of the time now, this deck only plays 1 Purify, which does mean these situations where you want to silence Tyrians, you want to silence big things on the other side, but you still want to silence your own things as well. Dropping that Purify can be an issue.
Yeah, they've started running less Purifies and more Pyromancers and Acolytes and that kind of thing, haven't they? And you're right, like, Stanodachi would have loved a Purify at any point this game so far, and it just hasn't happened yet. But there's the Inner Fire. So hang on a second. Silence the Razor Leaf, Divine Spirit, Inner Fire. That's 16. That's a potential 16/16 minion there ready to go.
It is indeedy. Best way to clear this. I mean, he can do shenanigans with Pyromancers here as well.
Yeah.
Seems unlikely, but...
Oh, you say that, but...
This gets a lot of damage through in some circumstances, depending what the secret is.
Oh, silence coming down now. See, I was thinking about how great it would be if Tareem came down next turn, and then Stanodachi silenced the Razor Leaf if it's about turning it back into a 4-8. But unfortunately for him, he's just going to go ahead and do this now. Tareem isn't the end of the world, I guess. He still has a pretty wide board. You look very confused right now. Why do you look so confused?
Just trying to add up what just happened, but I think I missed something. Okay. Tareem sorts things out a little bit. It doesn't. Let's face it, it just doesn't.
The fact that there's a Silver Hand recruit in Slayer Max's hand helps, because that means Tareem also creates a 3/3.
Right.
Let me think.
Something that he wouldn't be able to do with his hero power because that'd be too expensive. This turn is sticky no matter which way you look at it, though.
Plenty of things in hand to wonder about. This is where he's glad he took a Wicker Flame earlier and didn't take a Bog Creeper, by the way. A Bog Creeper here would be fine, absolutely fine, but he has plenty of taunt and things to do if he needs that going on. What he needs to do is multiple things to empty this hand out to make sure he doesn't just get steamrolled. And of course, New Zealand from this point onwards are scared of dying to 24. Another key number over and over. As you can see now, another Divine Spirit, which just represent lethal in hand right now for Russia.
Let me think.
Yeah. Slayer Max is going to need to play something. Yeah, going to go with the Tareem. The obvious play from the start. Just taking the time to consider every possible outcome. But there it is. Okay.
Is there any way they can make this work?
I don't think Stanodachi can get lethal here. Shadow Visions could pick him up a silence. If he silences his own Humongous Razor Leaf, becomes a 4/8 again. Then Divine Spirit, then in a fire would make it a 16/16, but then there's still a taunt in the way.
What is Elun's will?
Oh, Pyromancer turns. Bane of my existence. They're so messy.
Shadow Visions to grab the silence, then trade both of the 3/3s in. Would get rid of the taunt. That's not a silence. Oh, both silences have been drawn. What am I talking about? Purify is the only one.
So could go for the double Divine Spirit if he ever thinks that combo is going to win in the game, but you actually win the game more likely just by sustained 2 hits.
This is a problem as well. Now the Purify on the Humongous Razor Leaf will reset its attack, but it won't reset its health because it's taken damage. Whereas if it was a 3/3 undamaged, Purify would have returned it to being a 4/8.
Right.
But because it's taken damage now, I believe it only becomes a 4/2. So the Divine Spirit synergy... Oh no, it does gain 5 health.
Okay.
Oh, my mistake. Still not as much health as it would have been
Right.
undamaged, but not quite as severe as I thought it was.
And again, going face there important because that sets up a chance of a lethal. Divine Spirit would be 16, and a silence on the Ancient Watcher would be the extra 4 needed for 20. Of course, long way to go before we get there because Tyrion is likely to march onto the board.
Tyrion and Spike Ridge Steed both are looking pretty frustrating for Stanodachi here, and as I say, he's used both of the spell Silence. He's used both of them, so getting past these minions is going to take quite a lot of effort. There's no there's no quality in Slayamax's hand. There's no Tareem, so as we can see, there wouldn't be a punish if Stanodachi did just make the Razor Leaf huge.
So New Zealand will expect the thing they play possibly to... They can't expect to get silence easily, in fairness, but they want to make sure that whatever is dealt with is the one that they don't mind losing. So I imagine they'll play the Steed first, give 2 taunts in the way effectively, and then play Tyrion the turn after. No particular hurry to get Ashbringer online, I don't think, but I'm never going to complain if you do, I guess.
Well, there you go. Tyrion is going to do what he does and put a huge, single-handedly put a huge wall in the way. Oh!
New Zealand choosing to take the route that sometimes teams do take of just making sure that the health totals don't get out of hand on these minions. Because if the health totals get out of hand, that means the Divine Spirits get out of hand, the Inner Fires get out of hand, the whole thing gets pretty much out of hand, to be perfectly honest.
How does Stanodachi get past this Tyrion?
Time and patience.
So this turn he can make it a 32 Humongous Razor Leaf.
I mean, that gets through most things.
It does, but it also just instantly loses the game to equality. So I don't mind this, the kind of middle ground play. Make it a 420.
Yeah, and then do you care if it's a 414? I mean, 420 is obviously a lot better, but...
You can make it a 20-20, but you don't actually gain anything from doing that this turn. A minion with 20 attacks still only deals 0 to a minion that has Divine Shield.
That's not a lot.
And Slayamax picks up Blessing of Kings. He can just make this Tyrion bigger. He knows there's not likely to be a Shadow Word Death in Stanodachi's deck. He knows that both of the spells Silence have been used up. Maybe there's just no downside to doing this.
Got to be a bit careful if Lyra comes down, then Shadow Word Death plus Silence are back in play. You don't want to be open to too many things, I imagine. But on the other side of it, if you can kill them off in 2 turns before they draw their Lyra, then sure, why wouldn't you try?
Spike Ridge Steed must be tempting as well. In fact, it might even be tempting to just Hero Power and play Spike Ridge Steed on that. Or Wicker Flame.
Yeah, Wicker Flame might be a good choice because then you've got double Divine Shield to get through, and already Stan's having trouble getting through one of those.
Double Divine Shield, 2 taunts, plus another taunt that comes out of the Wicker Flame. Yeah, this is quite the barrier Slayamax is putting up. Stanodachi still looking cool though.
Yeah, Shadow actually has a lot to be cool about. Okay.
Gonna see the Tyrion get buffed instead, so it can just deal maximum amount of damage to that Razor Leaf. Second Razor Leaf being picked up, but no way whatsoever in the hand for silencing it just yet.
So they can kill the Tyrion if they want to with a whatever that would be. It'd be a lot. It'd be 28. 28.
Yeah.
So they'd just be a 28 to 20 after. What are these numbers? But if they use Divine Spirit Inner Fire here and get equality, they will lose the game because they'll be out of stuff.
When you started casting, Neil, did you ever think that you'd be talking about just 28-20 minions with a straight face?
No. And I'm still not. You can't see my face right now. Let's hope that the production don't put that in the highlights.
Yeah.
Again, having to look after this Divine Spirit in a fire for a second run at things. This is almost the test run. This is the run that says we're going to try and kill you, but not too hard.
Yeah.
The next one is the one that actually goes for it, but they feel they can't win that way. They're just going to go for it now, kill off the Tyrion, and say, okay, you've got to deal with all this now. Have it or lose.
I do like this play because it loses to equality, it loses to a second terrain from a Stonehill defender or something, but it probably wins otherwise, and is probably the only way they win otherwise. Outdoor Peacekeeper, picked up by Slayermax, though, is going to do the job. It's going to get rid of all of that attack. Reduce the Humongous Razor Leaf's attack by 23. Pretty powerful 3-mana minion you got there. There should still be another Inner Fire in the deck, though.
There should indeed. Of course, Lyra is now in a bad spot as well. If Lyra's picked up, she doesn't do anything. They do have some time. Russia have some time. Slayermax isn't killing them anytime soon because he's got problems to deal with.
All Lyra needs, though, is one spell, right?
Right.
Like, if the next two draws were Lyra and Shadow Visions, for example, then Shadow Visions
Sure.
would be okay. But yeah, that was definitely always going to happen.
There's some pretty strict rules around here.
Yeah.
Mainly regarding silly plans.
Minions that have stupidly high attacks, not following the rules.
Slayermax being very careful there to make sure they reduce this while he can. There would be a massive temptation to deliver 11 to face. But just playing around the top deck possibilities here, especially like you say with Shadow Visions in the deck, then there are more outs than you would imagine.
There's the second Purify on the far left there. Gonna just pick that up straight away and get that second Humongous Razor Leaf attacking.
And importantly, drawing yet another card into Acolyte of Pain, which he can also probably smash onto the board. And I don't think he's seen a Power Word Shield yet, so he might be tempted to hold it one turn. Nope, he needs those cards next turn, so he's going to get that out of there straight away.
Okay. Gonna make the trade, get rid of that silly one tiny Humongous Razor Leaf there. Does Shanadochi actually have any Divine Spirits left in this deck? I don't think he does.
Don't know if he picked one up or not from the Shadow Visions earlier, so I wouldn't like to answer that, I'm afraid.
Okay.
He probably does not, but I'm not certain on it.
See, I thought he'd used 3, but I'm not
He may well have done.
certain on that.
One thing that this deck does, though, is it grinds better than people think. You can quite often go to turn 20, 25, and still have 1/4/8 minion left plodding away, but
Right.
you use up a lot of your enemy resources just because of the constant stress of having to deal with these massive things.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and I don't think this is one of those times, to be honest, but sometimes you just break them anyway, even
Sure.
though you've run out of stuff yourself, and you have this like wet noodle fight where
Yeah.
just a silenced 4/5 comes to the rescue and does 12 damage.
Right. I've got to say, though, this looks like a very strong, or very synergetic hand from Slayermax there. He's got the Hydrologist just coming down on the board now. He's got 2 Cold Light Seers and then a Gentle Megasaur. So if these Murlocs all come down and are not dealt with, this board is going to turn nasty very fast. And it actually needs to pick up Lyra right now with another spell.
Yeah, I think that's his only comeback mechanism left now. There's a Purify, so there are 2 Purifies in here. That's good news for him. So that's part 1. Now he needs Lyra to go with this. And if he does get a Lyra with this, actually, it might be game-winning.
Potentially. It's going to need to be a good Lyra. We're not at the point now where any old Lyra will do the trick. It's going to have to be a very good Lyra. Maybe a...
Much harder to do, of course, without that Radiant Elemental on the table.
Second Purify gets picked up. Oh, boy.
Interesting. So if they want to Purify again, they've got to play the Shaman. Well, do they want to Purify again?
I think they have to.
Trying to find something that does a thing.
All right. That doesn't do a thing.
Well,
It does the thing.
it doesn't do enough of a thing.
Doesn't
but
do a helpful thing.
drawing more cards, still useful.
Okay.
9 cards left, as you can see from our wonderful overlay there.
22 damage if the Megasaur grants attack. Murloc War Leader does give Slayermax, I believe, a potential lethal this turn. Because especially with Wind Fury. Yeah, with Wind Fury, it's definitely lethal.
Wind Fury.
I think with attack it's lethal as well.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I
it is.
I confess I haven't counted it yet.
21
so-
yeah, it is. So Gentle Megasaur granting attack or Wind Fury will be lethal here. Don't think +1/+1 will quite do the trick. Doesn't actually get either of those options, so the game is not over right now. However, Health and Divine Shield both look very solid.
Yeah, the Tyrion was just proving too much for Russia to get through, having used both those silencers. No Lyra helping them either has made it difficult. And looking very much like New Zealand are going to take this first one. Megasaur helping out the Murlocs. Not quite sure it would do such a thing, but it does. And no idea how Stan can get back from this one without any spells in hand.
Yep, he's got 2 4-mana 1/1s at the moment, and that is all. Unless there's some mystery... No, even a mystery Dragonfire Potion wouldn't do anything here. Powered Shield. Ouch. Let's play a 4-mana 1/1 and then buff it. So it's a 4-mana 1/3 with Taunt. Great.
Yeah, I think he might have to do it as well.
No.
No, he's just going to buff one of his opposing minions. Fair enough. Try and get down 2 things.
Yeah, but now he'll draw Lyra, won't he?
Could well do.
Of course.
Good call.
Of course he did. Oh, dear.
Lyra can't survive, I don't think. I don't think he'll survive with Lyra's faceless either. Stan gives it up, and New Zealand take a 1-0 lead in a match that they need to do well in.
Yep, it's very important for New Zealand to be winning these games. If they take the series, they're through to the next stage in the Hearthstone Global Games. Russia, again, they need to win 1 game. Stanodachi was not able to take that 1 game.
They're going to get at least, well, they're going to get exactly 2 more goes at winning 1 game, but then they will still be playing for pride, playing for seeding, and playing to put New Zealand out of the tournament. So, loads going on here, but yeah, Silence Priest does that in these grindy matchups. Sometimes it just folds and dies. Sometimes you pick up the Lyra and suddenly you've got 7 cards in your hand.
The pieces of the puzzle just came at an awkward time. He wasn't able to put all of the big guys down early because he was afraid of this equality. Sunkeeper Tareen came at the right time and just put a stop to him. Slayer Max just had what he needed to just stem the tide.
Yeah, going to go into the second game. It's going to be Ting Tong versus Pavel. Ting Tong is not playing Quest Hunter, much to my disgust. He is indeed going to play Warrior.
Didn't even have answer.
Pavel is going to be playing Shaman.
So Warrior versus Shaman. We've seen a little bit of each Warrior today. We've seen only one Shaman though. This one Shaman that's been shining through the meta over the last few weeks. As you said, when I talked about the tournament lineups from Star Ladder, you said that Shaman can be used just to kind of fill out a lineup now, whether it's to fill out a control lineup with the Jade Shaman or whether it's to fill out an aggressive lineup. Shaman can do both, though one is certainly more popular than the other.
Yeah, just the Evolved Shaman is being played everywhere on ladder and everywhere in tournaments right now. Like you say, in a lineup, it's a bit different, but these aren't your traditional lineups. This is like try and find 2 decks that go together so you don't have any weakness in that one match, and Token Shaman is just a great place to start.
Have we even seen Shaman lose today? Yeah, we have.
It played against Shaman.
Oh yeah, there was a mirror.
That was a likely
But
loss.
but that's the only time we've seen it lose, in the mirror. So deck performing pretty well so far. We'll have to see if is it Pavel playing this? Yeah, if Pavel is able to continue that run.
Either that or his cat.
If anyone's going to be able to do it, I think it's probably Pavel's cat.
Yeah, the cat there, eyeing up all those trophies that Pavel's still looking to add to, we found out the other week.
All the trophies that Pavel pretended he won, but really it was the cat. The mastermind behind our world champion, ladies and gentlemen. No, of course, Pavel, one of the best players, if not the best player in the world. It's fair to say that right now. Ting Tong gonna have a tough time with this. I imagine he's feeling quite nervous.
Yeah, I should think so. He's definitely an experienced player. He's been playing since 14. Apparently, he got into the game when his brother got him into it. His brother being a Kriparian fan.
Right.
So that's how he got into the game. But yeah, he picked up 7 points in HCT Winter. He picked up 6 points in Spring. So picking up those HCT points without setting the world on fire. And like I say, Ting Tong's been one of these players who's just seen in various bits and pieces without really doing anything incredible yet. But here's his chance.
Yeah, Hearthstone Global Games, great chance for all of these players to come through, show not only that they themselves, but that their countries have what it takes to be competing in competitive Hearthstone. Think about Pavel. Like, I think he's quite an intimidating player. Ever since he won the World Championship, I wouldn't like to be in a room with him while playing against him because he's got that glare. you know what I'm talking about? It doesn't really look like that. That's not intimidating. That's just funny. But Pavel's glare, I don't know. I wouldn't want to play against him.
Yeah, he does have that. Not many players do that, but he does have that thing where he just stares you down and tries to look into your soul. But if you just smile at him or wink or something, I'm sure he'd just look away.
That's true.Maybe sticking your tongue out or something like that. That's the answer. But he knows he's the world champion, and he
plays on it. He takes
what's the
the
word?
advantage.
Plays on it. Nah, I've lost the word that I was looking for. But yeah, he really does use it to his advantage, like you
What,
said.
the word?
The word? I don't know what the word was.
The word's gone.
It'll come back to me in like the final series today, and I'll randomly say it, and no one's know what I'm talking about. Anyway, game at hand. It's going to be Pirate. Oh no, sorry. It's going to be Elemental Pirate Warrior.
Thanks,
versus Pavel's Evolved Shaman. Now, if I saw this deck a week ago, I'd have been very confused right now. But thankfully, I've seen it quite a bit on ladder recently. I've seen Dwayne playing it. I had to go with it myself last night. And it's different, but it's certainly a deck that exists in the Hearthstone meta right now.
Yeah, this was amusing because we were talking about this last night, Elemental Warrior being one of the things that wasn't going to get played today, despite the fact it existed, and here it is in the hands of New Zealand in a very important game. And basically the point is you just get a little bit more sustain than regular Pirate Warrior. The downside is you lose a little bit of the directness, but the upside is it just keeps punching you for an extra turn or two longer.
Yeah, it runs the big pirate synergy cards, it runs the South Sea Captain, etc. But it also runs Frozen Crusher, a 6-mana 8/8 that gets frozen after attacking. It runs Blaze Caller, obviously, as the fight. That's sort of instead of Mortal Strike, because that's in there, but it's also a 5/5 body. So it runs these heavy cards.
And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've got to admit, I have no idea whether this deck will stick around or not. My instinct is no, but my instinct is always no when something invades the meta after a couple of weeks of nothing happening. But interesting that New Zealand have decided to go with this. This, of course, the downside. Elementals and Pirates aren't the best of friends.
They don't synergize very well together, no. Ting Tong trying to work out here if he needs to fire a War X down that Fire Elemental, sorry, the Firefly, but that feels like a huge waste when you need to be pushing this damage to the face. If he plays Firefly here, then it just doesn't do much.
The usual thing with Pirates is like not only what have I got in my hand now, but what are my likely top decks? How am I going to get use out of this War Axe? How am I going to get use out of this South Sea Captain? How many Pirates do we have on turn 2 we can draw? And a lot of number crunching likely going on there to make sure they get the play they want.
And Pavel not wasting any time there with that Primal Fin Totem. I don't even know if he waited to see what his teammates had to say. I guess he was discussing in the previous turn, though they're going to be talking now about this Elemental Warrior and discussing how they think they're going to have to play this matchup differently.
Yeah, just making sure amongst themselves that there is nothing that they've overlooked. They will all have played against this, I should think, by now. But you know, there may be nuances that none of them know, because I doubt they've played against it 100 times or 200 times or 2,000 times or however many times these silly people play Hearthstone. I know, Stan's played thousands and thousands, 50,000 games of wins of Hearthstone. So.
And that was a pretty huge patches there, hopping out of the cannon. Pavel not going to have that luxury, as his patches is the leftmost card in his hand. So he just needs to get this board back somehow, and it's not looking easy. There's no way of dealing with the South Sea Captain other than playing your own patches and trading everything in. You could play Mana Tide Totem, but it just dies for free.
Of course, they've taken no damage yet, so the options open to them are pretty strong. Throwing the patches into the mix to kill the Captain does do 4, or does save you 4. Allows you to hero power, which might at least stick. Yeah, you're going to play Stonehill.
The word was flaunt it, by the way.
Flaunt his world championship in your face.
I found the words. It just popped into my head now. Luckily not the end of today.
Okay, well...
This is a great discover.
What's he going to flaunt out of this lot? What a horrible bunch of things.
1 mana 0 and 4. 2 mana 3/2. Cool.
Yeah, definitely one of the worst discoveries I've ever seen.
At least he can give his Cthulhu Taunt.
It's the third pompous thespian of the day.
Day of
Yeah.
the Pompous Thespians. What do you
Giving
know?
his Cthulhu buffs would be really nice.
Okay, Fiery Warwick plus Salty Deckhand just looks like a play that has fallen into New Zealand's hand there.
Yeah, this wasn't about on turn 1, just working out, your curve is so low for the large part, barring a couple of Blaze Callers and the occasional silly 6-8, that you can expect to draw into good things. And that'll be how they planned around it. Like you say, now things appear to have fallen into place, but they did choose not to play this Warwick for the first 2 or 3 turns. This has happened because of the decisions they made earlier in the game.
Yeah, well, it's done them pretty well so far. They have a very nice board that they're able to look after nicely. The Salty Deckhand's going to be a 3-2 if it comes down this turn. The trade against the Stonehill Defender is uncomfortable, as trades against 1/4s tend to be in Hearthstone at the moment.
Yeah, they're going to mess up at least 1 damage, and the thing they don't like about this is if they clear this board up with the pirates, not the captains, is they're going to end up walking into Maelstrom Portal. Like this. There is no Maelstrom Portal, but that's what they're going to be worried about.
There is a Devolve, though, which might actually be necessary here. Devolve plus Flame Elemental plus Patches, or Devolve plus Pompous Thespian. I guess the Pompous Thespian doesn't do all that much because of the Fiery Warx. Yeah, he's just going to have to go ahead and do it.
They're still on 30 health, though.
Oh, Duskboar going to say goodnight as Patches swoops in. Pretty nice Devolve there.
Worked out beautifully for them.
Feels like a good trade. Realistically, there are a lot of 2-mana minions that have 1 health, but trading into one that's got 4 attack as well, that must feel good for Pavel.
Yeah, further ruining all of the synergy as well, turning things into wisps.
Yep.
Obviously, we've got pirates and elementals going on. The synergy is already a little bit frail, but wisps definitely don't interact well with those guys at all.
No, they don't. They're not pirates. They're not elementals. They kind of look a bit elementally.
They do, in fairness, they do.
But even then, they weren't played from the hand, which is what elemental synergy is often about. So,
Looks like though they are going to get weapon synergy at least with the Nile Corsair and then the Captain Greenskin afterwards.
yeah.
It's difficult to see other plays. You want to keep your Flame Element until you're going to set up your Blaze Caller at least, so you definitely don't want to play it this turn. And you'd rather wait till you've actually got the Blaze Caller. If you're going to take any chance at all, you'd definitely wait 1 more turn.
It's scary, actually, because this Fairy Warx is going to turn into an Arcanite Reaper next turn.
It sure is.
Or even bigger. It's going to be a 5-3 now because he chose not to hit it in. That'll deal with that thing from below, no problem.
Yeah, playing around Bloodsail Corsair there.
Yeah.
If you get it down to 1 charge, the Bloodsail Corsair comes down, you waste it, then your Greenskin doesn't do much.
Right. So what does Pavel do to put a stop to all of this incoming damage? 11 damage in total on the board.
Well, I mean, you can kill off one of the Wisps, that's the easy bit, but Thespian slows things down. You can play Mana Tide, or you can play just a totem, make your thing from below very cheap, and just take the hit for 1 turn.
I think I like that. He could get a Taunt Totem. That's a possibility. There it is, in fact. In fact, that Taunt Totem is going to block a lot of damage. According to how the board is right now, it's going to block at least 4 or 5 damage.
Yeah, and it was always obviously fairly light. Even if you don't get the taunt, you're 1 step closer to getting the taunt the turn after, or making your opponent trade into it. So totems are always terrifying for that, and making this thing from below so cheap now as well.
Yeah, next turn's looking great from Pavel, actually, because he can play Primorphin Totem and Pompous Thespian and Thing from Below next turn. Really start filling up the board, ready for that Bloodlust. I wouldn't count Pavel out just yet. He still has 28 health, again, going into turn 5. I think we're really gonna put this Warrior's sustainability to the test this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. They've missed out in this early game due to the fact they had different synergies going on, but now is where they start to get the rewards back for that, where they can just start to push a whole chunk of damage. Interesting decision here, because you don't want to let the Mana Tide Totem live. Obviously you don't. However, if you kill your opponent in 2 turns, it only draws them 1 card anyway, so really who cares?
Another Mana Tide Totem. So
Pretty much a whiff at this point, I think.
yeah, he's actually going to go ahead and play it. He can play both totems in his hand this turn, along with Thing from Below, which is, I guess, what he's thinking. Just going to try and draw a way of winning the game next turn.
Yeah, he's also got that Bloodlust, which might help him clear a whole lot of stuff up. If he's got a lot of things in play, then Bloodlust will help him clear the board. And this is the difficulty, though. Ting Tong's still got 4 cards in hand.
I do like the Mana Tide Totem play this turn. Second Evolve could do some work soon. Doppelgangster not going to do much without the Evolve. If he does pick up Evolve, then he gets a 1 in 6 chance for each Doppelgangster to turn into a Taunt, which is, it's relatively high, really.
I see if the Taunt's even going to be relevant, though. Ting Tong's last turn now, he's having to live with that decision. This is where Russia will start getting all of the cards because of it, so got to kill him quick or got to change your mind. So much damage in New Zealand's hand.
So much damage.
And they've got to be careful not to die because that's how Bloodlust is as well.
Yeah, I was saying earlier today, the amount of times I've died to just surprise Bloodlusts on the ladder recently, it does happen. But I think Bloodlust just going to be used up to clear some things up here.
Yeah, pushing that damage through face.
It can't actually clear that much up though, can it? Ooh, can't be played with the Bloodlust. So let's see, Bloodlust, Primorphin Totem goes into the Captain, the 1/1 goes into... Oh, never mind, we're going to devolve first, that makes more sense, okay. Suddenly this Bloodlust looks much better.
From where they're sat, it does.
Well, the 2/5 can't be traded into, which is
I
frustrating.
mean, they lose the game if they play it, but, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Pavel not going to be too happy about this, I think. What can he do that means he doesn't lose the game?
Trying to find anything.
Don't think there is anything.
I mean, first of all, do you play around Leroy anyway? Probably you have to, but then you think, well, maybe I can't.
So, Pavel kissing goodbye to his chance of getting Russia the 1 win that they need. He picks up the second Bloodlust there, but it's just too late. The weapon on the board has 5 attack, double Heroic Strike, or Leroy Jenkins. Actually, even 1 Heroic Strike would have done the job. Just, yeah, show him all the cards, Ting Tong, why not?
Yeah, Ting Tong's still not really celebrating there. There's still a job to be done. Looking a little bit relieved, but still also looking pretty nervous. They've still got to get 1 more win. And we've seen enough reverse sweeps over the years in Hearthstone to realise that that can sometimes be the tricky one, especially when you're up against the likes of Russia, Sottle's pick to go through.
Yeah, well, he's just beaten the world champion. So there's a reason for New Zealand to celebrate at the moment. But you're right, Sottle, I'm sure, is going to be back home watching this just as keenly as Argentina are. Austria?
So Austria already through. Argentina have 2 chances now. First of all, New Zealand can win this game of Hearthstone. Win 3-0, Argentina will go through instead of Russia. Or Russia can win, and, well, then they're through in the case of New Zealand.
Everything on the line this game for New Zealand, for Russia, for Argentina, for Sottle. Everyone has something at stake here.
And if Sottle has something at stake, we all have something.
So yeah, so it's all down to Silvername to get this 1 win. Pathra on the other side, going to be piloting the Shaman. Pathra, one of these players, I think we've talked about a fair amount. She plays the good decks. She's a very talented player, but like if you tune into her stream, you'll see her playing whatever's good at the moment, which is the sign of someone that's very dedicated to competitive Hearthstone, I think.
Silvername, on the other hand, he will play whatever he wants to play, and people will follow wherever he goes. Maybe the most popular Hearthstone streamer of all.
Yeah, he certainly is. When Sottle gives his speech about champions on Team Russia, Silvername is the champion of the people, especially in Russia. We've been in situations in the past where whatever we've been casting, other event-wise, Silvername will pop up as one of the players competing in the next round, and suddenly the view count will just leap up by thousands.
Yeah.
He has a very dedicated following of people who I'm sure are here watching us right now.
I'm sure they are, and I'm sure they're a bit nervous right now as well, because if he loses this game, they're going to be dumped out of the tournament by New Zealand after a 3-0 start, looking like they were almost guaranteed to be through.
So it's so important for Silvername to win this. Give us some squids in the chat if you're here supporting Silvername. That's what the cool people do these. No, you know. Okay, all right. Showing your age there, Neil. You just don't get it.
No, of course I don't.
Yeah, it's going to be Warrior versus Shaman. We've seen this matchup a few times today already, I think, actually, being Shaman and Warrior being two of the most commonly picked classes in the Hearthstone Global Games. We've kind of reached that point now where you see a lot of Paladin, you see a lot of Shaman, you see a lot of Warrior. I feel as though you usually see a lot of Druids, but we haven't too much today. And it's kind of the Hunters and the Priests and the Warlocks that miss out.
Yeah, you see a lot, and we just can't say any more about Shaman than we've already said. People like to play tokens in their Shaman deck. They like to play Evolve, Devolve, and Doppelgangster.
Doppelgangsters being the kind of big card that I guess has... Well, no, because Doppelgangster came out in Mishi's of Gadgetzan. It's just the fact that Shaman lost some of its early game tools that were so strong before and gained some different ones. Just ends up making Evolve so much better. And it is going to be that matchup. Once again, it's going to be the Quest Warrior from Silvername, though. Not too surprised to see this. It's going to be all about him sustaining.
Difficult mulligan decision here for Patra. She's got to decide whether she wants to keep the Maelstrom Portal to deal with those pesky pirates, or whether she wants to throw it away and try and build her own board. I imagine she'll keep the Firefly, and I imagine she'll keep the Portal. Probably won't keep the other two cards. That sort of splits the difference, and it's one of the problems against Warrior right now, is predicting exactly what you're going to be playing.
High pressure game for Pathra and Team New Zealand as well. I believe they win the group if they take this one.
Yeah, they should indeed win the group if they win this match at any point. And she does indeed keep those two cards. Silvername, on the other hand, also has decisions to make. And interesting, he does just keep the quest and the early defense.
A New Zealand Ravens pick, or am I imagining that? No, I'm imagining.
Ravens was
South Korea. You're right. I'm imagining that. Okay. I thought for a second we had a Sotul versus Raven thing, but no, you're right. South Korea.
There can only be the fans that are winners if Sotul takes on Raven. Okay. Firefly, Corsair. The Corsair will be saved in case there is a War Axe, of course. So do you want to Firefly and coin out the other one, or do you want to just play the one? Probably just the one.
Yeah, I think you can just play the one. You can just Toadsome on turn 2 and Stonehill on turn 3. There's no reason to rush the coin out. Or obviously, if a weapon came down, then Flame Elemental plus Bloodsoul Corsair would be great next turn. Silvername's hand is looking, well, it is lacking, honestly. It's lacking anything too powerful right now. Armorsmith can come down, sure, but it's not going to do much.
Yeah, but I think it might be enough to just keep them alive in the short term. Stonehill Defender will fix the curve. The curve's actually pretty good. It's going to be one of those annoying games where you just say, hey, miss one go, please, Warrior, and I'm going to hurt you. But missing one go is not necessarily going to happen. This is where if Pathra had coined out the Flame Elemental last turn, she'd be in a fantastic spot now, of course, with the Flame Tongue. But keeping the coin is equally useful.
While Pathra makes this decision, Production trying to find the boot there at the bottom, trying to find the golden boot.
The golden boot. Had 3 boots once.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Impressive.
I did it on stream.
Wow.
I roped a guy for about 7 turns for no reason when I was losing to get the 3rd boot. I had to email him a screenshot after. Anyway, back in the...
You're a joy to play against, Neil.
Back in the real world of Hearthstone. The difference here from the match we saw when it was Shaman versus Warrior is New Zealand already have the Doppelgangster in their hand, which means that they can go a little bit more aggressive than they would have done in the match earlier we saw, with the hope of going Doppelgangster Evolve after a brawl clears up the first wave of stuff. And White Eyes is definitely a good minion for putting pressure on.
Now, for a second there, I thought that she was going to go with the Tar Creeper just because it fits the curve so nicely, but you're right. There still is a curve here, and White Eyes means that later on, if things were to start getting a little bit hairy, Pathra would just have a 5-mana 10/10 to pop down and block the Ragnaros hero power and various attacks and things.
Russia's just going to do the best they can to buy themselves time, and that's what the consideration here is with attacking with the Armorsmith. Chipping away at the minion doesn't do much, but the 1 armor is worthy of consideration. I suspect they won't end up doing it. I suspect they'll keep the Armorsmith intact. But it's like a 3 point of damage.
Maybe... No.
I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. I'm wondering if there's some sort of spectator issue. Because it's saying 0 mana, yet the armor up is clickable. Yep, okay, there is a problem with spectator mode apparently, so here we are, as we just entertain you for a second. Well, hopefully they get back into the game. I'm hoping that we don't end up... Ooh, got a box.
Got a box? Oh,
oh
blue
it's
box.
gone. Never mind.
Too slow. You've got to be quick with these blue boxes.
Hopefully we'll load that game up for you again in just a moment. Just technical difficulties can happen. Technical difficulties between the players with their communication can happen. Technical difficulties our end can happen as well, as we've lost sight of the game.
Yeah, so it looked quite good there for Silvername, though. It looked like he was going to be able to curve through the defence, but it was going to be reliant on whether Pathra could pick up and evolve to go with that doppelgangster. She had managed to keep back the flame tongue. She had cheap minions in hand. She was going to start using her hero power aggressively just to build a wide board. And with all that in mind, there was quite a lot that could happen in that game. But we're just going to get back in there and sort out those issues now.
Yeah, in the corner of my eye, I can see a broken view of the game, but it looks like they are still playing. They're still competing, so I don't think we're going to have a reset. I don't think there's been any disconnection issues on their end. Here we go. There we go.
So, Patches is in charge now, and this board is being cleaned up by Patra. And I think we've only missed one turn, which is good to see.
Yeah, Bloodhoof Brave there, I think, came from Stonehill Defender on the right of Silvername's hand. Wow, Execute going to go ahead and get rid of that Stonehill Defender just because Silvername is so desperate to get rid of the Flame Tongue Totem, trying to keep Pathra's board as small as possible. She's looking very happy about this.
Yeah, I mean, 33 points of health to get through there. It's going to take a while to chop through this lot. Obviously, if you do keep using your hero power as the Shaman, then you're constantly threatening the warrior's health total without actually burning up your cards. Primal Fin does a very similar job as that. And they're representing Bloodlust here. So two things about this. First of all, Silvername can't let this carry on because he might lose to Bloodlust. Secondly, Pathra might actually draw the Bloodlust. So not only is it representing it, but it's sensible to do so, because if she picks it up at any point, she's in a great spot.
Second Flame Tongue Totem certainly does put Pathra in a good spot, though. She's able to just trade away 2 of her small minions that have 1 attack into this Direhorn Hatchling and just keep blasting the face. It is so important for Silvername and Team Russia that he wins this game.
It really is. If they manage to lose this, they are going to be out of the event.
It doesn't matter after this game. He just needs to win this one darn game of Hearthstone.
Wow. Pathra is going to be able to not only kill off this hatchling, but also get to do 5 damage to the face and just generally have a wide board. They are spending a lot of time to make sure this is a correct play, because the last thing you want to do in this situation is just get overexcited. Okay, this is important that they rolled first, because now they've got the healing totem. They may want to trade slightly differently, as the Firefly will get healed back up. But I'm not sure they will, because then the Flame Tongue totem will be sort of misplaced on the side of the board a little.
Yeah, I don't think the healing totem matters too much. The 1 health on the Firefly. This seems fine. Taunt Totem's going to keep hitting the face. Also, yeah, now the Taunt Totem gets the buff, which is relevant. That's what you were saying before with the Flame Tongue Totem being in a better position here.
Okay, so a whole bunch of stuff, but they filled their board up, which means they won't get any more stuff. However, what Silvername and Russia don't know is there is no Bloodlust in hand, so they have to proceed and kill things as if there was.
Hey, Stonehill Defender being played there. Can't quite see the options just yet. The Stonehill Defenders not being very... Stonehill Defender not being very cooperative with us spectating it, but there we go. The Curator came from it, so that's what matters.
Curator, a massive pickup, because that can lead into the Primordial Drain,
yes,
which can clear up all this board pretty much of things, and that's going to be a big spot going forward here.
And that is exactly what Silvername needs. He needs the Primordial Drake. He needs a Brawl. Or he could get a Whirlwind effect plus Sleep with the Fishes, because he's got the Acolyte here. So if he gets 1 from this and draws the other, then that's another potential combination. There's 1, so he could draw the Sleep with the Fishes now and clear everything.
I think New Zealand have to decide what they're going to do about this. I suspect they'll play it. It gives a tiny bit of defense against the moves we were just talking about.
I think it's fine as well
It
because
might not bother though.
she's still got so much additional value in her hand.
Right.
She's got the extra Firefly, she's got the White Eye, she's got Doppelgangster. I think playing Eye is actually fine here, even if it just dies.
It's a tough call because you're filling up your board, which means that the Primal Fin Totem isn't getting any value. That you put it there to get you some value.
Yep.
It means you won't be able to use your hero power, which is more value. But it does actually put the clock onto a sensible speed. You're chipping away for 2s and 4s at the moment. And Aya says, you know what? This is actually some real amount of damage I'm now threatening.
And the Armor Smith.
I'd have liked to see the Aya inside the Primal Fin there, I think. So that the 1/1 can be buffed by the Flame Tongue. But maybe they're happy to get rid of the Primal Fin.
Right, 32 damage if there was a Bloodlust here. The Curator only has 6 health.
There's
So
2 in the deck, there's 19 cards left, so Bloodlust would be good things.
there it is! Pathra, unless my maths then was terribly wrong, going to take the series, ripping away Russia's chance to qualify to Stage 2 of the Hearthstone Global Games. As long as our calculations before have been correct, Russia are going to be just out of the competition now.
Yeah, by virtue of the fact they beat Spain, they beat Spain and they beat Australia, which are the 2 teams that had very bad game difference records, means that Russia's 3rd tiebreaker is basically garbage. And as I understand it, that puts them out, but I haven't checked it 100%, but...
Well played, Pathra. You did it. You toppled Silvername. New Zealand have taken down Russia, and again, we believe that means Argentina will be through. We'll have another look at the group just when we're done with the interviews
Right,
and
sure.
everything. But I believe that the 3 groups that qualify now are New Zealand, Argentina, and Austria.
Yep, I think that is correct as well. Basically, Russia, the 2 teams they beat, or 2 of the teams they beat were bottom of the table with massively bad goal difference, game difference, and that's really going to punish them.
I'm not looking forward to facing Sotil next week.
I am. That's the one saving grace about losing such an exciting team from the tournament. It's not a team I don't think anybody apart from New Zealand and Argentina wanted to see get knocked out of this event. Russia being such a powerhouse and with 4 of their best players in the whole event, all in one team. It's a genuine shame to see them go, jokes aside.
It's surprising, and it's also a shame for them because in other groups, getting 3 wins is all they've needed to get through. But with this group, getting 3 wins just isn't enough. Anyways, we're going to have a quick chat with Flame Lord on Team New Zealand. Hey, Flame Lord, how's it going?
Hello.
Congratulations! You have taken down Russia and earned New Zealand a place in Stage 2 of the Hearthstone Global Games. How's your team feeling at the moment?
Ecstatic. We're all absolutely delighted. It was a great game.
So obviously you're the player who didn't get to play today, but how much input do you still get into the whole team thing going on? How do you work your team communications?
I think we all get about the same input. We're all on chat together. We all say what we think the best play is, and then we do it. So it's pretty even. It doesn't really matter who doesn't play, since we're all making the decision together.
And has that developed over time? Would you say that your teamwork has gotten better each week, or do you think you had it cracked pretty much from the start?
Well, obviously it's got better over time, but we were pretty good at the start. We worked really well together. I think we have a really good team here.
And do you think that you're going to change anything moving forwards into Stage 2 of the competition, or just keep doing what you've been doing?
I can't think of any major changes we need to make. Just keep doing what we've been doing, but slightly better.
Yeah, winning the group should put you into a decent position in Stage 2 as well. Should get a fairly easy draw the way that the good teams are all winning their groups. So you must be pretty confident.
Yeah, we're going to do well.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks, Flame Lord. Congratulations one more time. You guys go and celebrate. You've earned it, and we will see you again possibly next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Wow. It's just not what I expected, man.
I must admit, I didn't expect it either. I felt very sorry for Argentina when I saw the situation they were in because all of the possible results fell into that "you are out" lineup.
I'd like to interview them. I'd like to interview Argentina right now.
PNC right now. Hi, PNC. He will be bouncing around the room, I'm pretty sure. He's normally a very, very calm guy. But I know that when we mathed out the situation for this, and it's like, look, all these things are against you, I know that he was pretty depressed about how the tiebreakers were working out for Argentina. So I've been in that position before over various events that I've played, and when tiebreakers go against you, it is the worst thing in the world.
Just such a surprising loss from Russia as well. They needed to win a single game, and it just didn't go their way. The whole series ended up being a little bit of a stomp. Not quite as fast as the previous series that we watched today. As
right.
That first game in its own was as long as the entire last series. But just bit by bit, New Zealand were able to whittle Russia down. Even though it looked like Russia got a great evolve there, the elemental pirate warrior just able to sustain, as we said, it is what it's good for. In fact, I'm not even sure if it was an elemental pirate warrior or just a pirate warrior with fireflies in. Because I don't think we even saw any of the other elemental cards.
That's an interesting point, actually. We assumed all the way through that it was, but now you mention it.
Wish I'd asked now.
Yeah, that's actually probably just a way of tidying up your curve a bit in Pirates.
Well, there you go.
Well spotted us. Well done, Dan.
We got there. And finally, the Bloodlust Silvername rolled his eyes at that, not looking too happy at all, as he realizes that's the final blow that Russia needed to...
And Pathra had the hardest job of all here, is making sure nothing happens to cost you the tournament.
Yeah.
The intense look on her face of point this at face, don't miss, is probably the most intense look of that I've ever seen. And the relief and the excitement there shows.
Yeah, look at that. The well played at the end. She's looking just incredibly thrilled about that, and so she should be.
She should indeed.
Looking equally happy as Austria did when they took down Russia. It's no easy feat. Let's take one last look at Group C and check that our prediction, well, not prediction, that our foresight was correct. Yep, that looks right to me.
Okay, so the reason that Argentina are through, for those wondering what is happening, Argentina beat Austria and New Zealand.
Yeah.
They've got the same +2 game record as Russia, but they beat Austria and they beat New Zealand, and you count their game records, it's like +1,000,000.
Yep.
They also beat somebody else, but who cares? Russia beat Australia and Spain. Well, you can see how catastrophic that is for your combined game record. Third down the road tiebreaker, which means that Argentina have beaten effectively better teams in this group, as it's turned out, than Russia have, and they get advantage because of that.
It's complicated stuff. We make these tournament formats, and we kind of hope we never get that deep into the tiebreakers,
Right.
but we did today. To Argentina's joy, we got there, and it worked out fine for them. So Russia's going to have to just go away and I guess, try better next time. They won't be complaining, you know. They still hold the world champion and the winter champion, and they still have a pretty solid team behind them.
These guys are a bit competitive. I think they'll be complaining right now.
Well, anyways, let's not ponder on that for too long. Next up, we're going to have Poland versus Singapore. Both of these guys are 2-2 in their group. We're once again in the position where the winner's in and the loser's out. So, again, you don't want to miss these games today. The stakes have never been higher. We'll be right back.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.